right. Hello, everyone. Hi, Vadim. Hi, Jan. We're live.
Hi.
All right. Let's get started. So, first of all, welcome everybody to our live stream today. A round of introductions. My name is Orlin Vasiliev, and I'm the Harbor Community Lead. And I recently joined SUSE. We have Vadim. Vadim, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, hello, my name is Vadim. I'm one of the maintainers of Harbor, and yeah, happy to be here.
And we have Jan from VMware by Broadcom or Broadcom. I'm confused these days. But Jan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Yan. Currently, I'm working at Broadcom, or you can see the VMware by Broadcom. And I have joined Harbor for maybe more than 6 years. So yeah, welcome. Thank you.
All right, 6 years. I joined Harbor like 3 years ago. You're 6, and Vadim, you're like in your 4th or 5th.
I think fourth, yeah. So
Yeah.
So
I'm the oldest one.
you've been there from the first day, no, Jan?
Sorry.
Have you been there from the first day?
Yeah,
from the exception.
No, maybe for not almost day one.
Almost
From 0.3. Yeah. Now we are in 2.11.
All right. Yeah. For those who are new to the whole setup, we have prepared kind of agenda for today. What we want to talk about. It's not very strict, but we have some pinpoints that we want to talk about. And the first thing that we have is like, can you folks define what is container registry? And are we going to talk only about container registries, or our conversation can go easily beyond that and add some more stuff? Vadim, do you want to go first?
Well, so I think that if we talking about container registries and with this history and baggage, yeah, the terminology of container registry was the primary part, right? Nowadays we are kind of moving away from just being a container registry, right? So the container registry is evolved into a standard, which is now the called OCI standard, so Open Container Initiative Standard. It's standardized how containers are retrieved, and they're not calling containers anymore because we're not just storing containers there. We are storing other types of artifacts, so that's why it's called more of an artifact store or artifact registry, or however you want to call it. So the container part is, I mean, still one of the important parts, but I think it's not the most important anymore. I mean, yeah, it's the most important, but it's not the only important part there, right? So we have more and more artifacts type that are used to be stored in OCI, and this makes things more interesting because those types of artifacts are not only application software, right? Like what we had with the containers. There are definitely other formats, like Helm charts are the second most prominent one in the CNCF space. But there are other formats, right? So there's like data models for AI. There are, I think, OPA is using policies, to storing policies in the registry. And I think the new, not trend, but the new movement that we see more and more today is the registry ops, which is a kind of the sibling of the Git ops, where you don't store the things in the Git, but more in the registry, because it has some advantages over Git. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say we shouldn't only talk about the container functionality, but more of a kind of a how to get things into containers, or how to get things into kind of distribute workloads, right? How to distribute our software to to Kubernetes clusters, to locations, so whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the name was kind of a little bit misleading, but Harbor is known for the container part, not much of a. The OCI is rather new stuff. Jan, your opinion on that, or?
Yeah. So since I just joined Harbor, so at that time Harbor just managed the Docker images. So since the 2.0, we moved to the OCI registry. We target to manage any format based on the OCI. So like chart, OCI chart, CNAP, and other stuff. So, and Harbor was built on top of Docker registry, and then we provide a user-friendly Harbor website, and then we continue adding a lot of features like the garbage collection, replication, proxy cache, and we take a lot of efforts to focus on the our OCI artifact security management, like you can signing or scanning the artifact, and so in the Harbor side, you can leverage Harbor to manage your OCI artifact, the life cycle, or in your company or within your organization. So Harbor could be a on-prem Harbor private OCI registry. So yeah, that's my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah, so as Jan mentioned, like Harbor becomes more like a hub, a hub for artifacts, right? So like, or hub for supply chain software delivery, right? With signatures, signing, SBOM, vulnerability scans, and all with this, signed and processed, so you can kind of trace it down, everything, the whole process from software creation to delivery. You can verify this, and I think Harbor can become a crucial part in this whole puzzle, because the topic is quite complex, as I think. You're mute.
I'm on mute. Yes, it is about time.
Error.
So we mentioned a few times like different registries and different ways to store different kind of artifacts. Can you do the comparison between the different registries, like for example, cloud, self-hosted, on-prem kind of thing? And then if you can relate that to the different implementations of different registries, like for example, Zolt or Quay, and how Harbor compared to them. And yeah, what are one of the, for you personally, one of the advantages of Harbor, for example? Because we're like the star of the show is a little bit Harbor. So Jan, do you want to go first?
I actually didn't learn a lot of the competitors, and we can see that. So I just focus on the requirement from the community, like the users to say, hi, I want this, I want that, and this could help us to manage our OCI artifact within our organization. And but compared with the SaaS registry, Harbor could play a key role in the on-prem version. Like you can easily set up a private registry within your cluster, within your organization, and help you to manage all the things. And we provide a lot of features that help you to set Harbor easily. You can set up Harbor through offline installer, Helm operator, and any other kind of like Terraform. So you can easily set up a Harbor within your company to serve the OCI artifacts, to help your build and ship your artifacts to your customer. And so for what do we have? I think we do have all the features to manage your OCI artifacts within your organization. So this is from my part.
Vadim,
yeah, I mean, I can take a look at or highlight the differences to other registries. So I can tell that, for example, in our use cases, when we engage with customers who are using Harbor, we see oftentimes it's not a typical situation where it's just one thing or the other, like especially in large organizations, right? There is a ton of registries out there, so they're using multiple registries. So and they need to be interconnected with each other, right? So because sometimes you want to, not sometimes, but there are very valid use cases where you want to have your artifacts in one storage in one place. You want to maybe back up from there. You want to do vulnerability scans. So you want to make sure that there is one central place where the images are stored. It might not be the place where you primarily store them, so there might be other places, but there is a kind of a place where you want to have them too. And this is where I see Harbor has this powerful capabilities in the replications. So a lot of users, if they're on ECR, ACR, like on AWS, Azure, on GCP, or even on-prem, they use Harbor alongside any other registries, right? So we have users that I know they use Docker Hub. We have users who are using, JFrog or Artifactory. So there is a kind of mostly a mixed combination. There's of course users who are just use Harbor only. There is mostly organizations who, let's say, have a strict, I would say rather strict policies, right? So they have a really strict policy. So they have just one Harbor registry or multiple Harbor registries. And in terms of functionality, I think what we can say that like all registries, right, can store images, right? So there's like the basic functionality is there in every registry. I think the differences comes with the details, and if we look at, for example, the cloud provider offerings, their main limitation is that they only run as a service on the cloud provider infrastructure, right? And the other thing that most of those offerings have is they provide the basic functionality. This means that you can store your images or your artifacts, and that's it. So there is no other functionalities beyond the basic image push and pull. There are some differences and variations, but in general, it's rather basic, right? And on the nice side of those offerings is, and maybe also a bit of a pain point, is that those cloud provider registries are mostly tied into the IAM system of the cloud provider. So which might be a good thing because you can, automate things with other tools like Terraform or Boomi, whatever you're using. But it becomes a bit difficult if you want to, scale it to your whole organization, or you want to scale it across multiple teams. So there's this whole IAM management thing becomes a bit complicated. Or if you want to go that far and giving customers or users other from external companies access to your registry, so they can push and pull images, things like this. So this becomes kind of difficult. And then we have, of course, let's say the classical artifact stores, right? So namely Zonatype, and Artifactory, and those are, in my opinion, multi-purpose commercial products that are capable of storing different types of artifacts, right? So I think they store basically all artifact types that exist on the planet, and which as well in large organizations makes sense because you have probably a lot of different types. But this support for different artifacts comes also with this limitation because you need to treat all types of artifacts more or less the same way, right? So you have to the same process, the same workflows, and so those artifacts store are missing, crucial, not crucial, but functionalities that are, oftentimes make sense in a cloud native environment, right? So I think here most importantly is the replication capabilities, right? So there's like the artifact store have mostly the proxy capabilities, so they can proxy from other registries. But those active replication capabilities, I think, something that's really unique to Harbor. And yeah, and then like this whole cleanup and garbage collection part is also very important, right? So if you have an organization that is constantly pushing and creating images, garbage collection becomes an important topic, or and creating rules for that and managing the whole thing, it becomes crucial because otherwise you will spend a lot of money, right? And you can easily reach terabytes and petabytes of data if you just don't control this or don't kind of clean up. And I think this is where Harbor has one of its powers, right? Like this capabilities of managing things, and then the capability of replicating things. And then of course the whole API based management of Harbor is quite powerful as well. There's a lot of, if you look on GitHub, there are a lot of projects around Harbor who have CLIs, CRDs, who are trying to manage Harbor. There's a very interesting a curated list of awesome Harbor things that I'm maintaining. I can maybe post it. It's called, I think, just look for awesome Harbor on GitHub, and you will find a list of interesting projects around Harbor. And you can see there's like a quite big ecosystem around that as well.
I think we've discussed that awesome list a few times, and it's even linked somewhere in our main repository. Ola, I hope that answered your question, how Harbor compares to JFrog. If you have some more detailed questions, feel free to ask it again, and we can iterate once again on the back. So we talk about the self-hosting part of it, and yeah, a lot of folks are using Harbor, not only part of their like, for example, the official Tanzu, for example, deployments, but they're using Harbor within OpenShift or Rancher, or they're using it alongside EKS, for example. And you discuss that, the replication part and so on. We've prepared some stuff to show on the security side later on. Do you want to add something more about the differences between the different providers, or we can conclude that? I think that was quite extensive explanation, though. Okay, I have a question to the audience, and I'm going to post it like this. Are you using Harbor? I suppose everybody who joins that either using Harbor, or they're planning to use this Harbor, or they're just trying to figure out what Harbor is. So if you can briefly answer that into the chat, it would be super cool, so we can know who we're talking to. And if you have some questions about it, go for it. So next thing, we have some demo prepared. It's not demo, it's more a chat thing. So we're talking Harbor, but maybe some of the folks have never seen Harbor before. So I'm gonna briefly share my screen and try to. All right, I'll try to walk you through the look and feel of Harbor. And one of the good things, I hope it's big enough. Is it? Should be. Right. So as a part of the Harbor project, we have a demo environment. So everybody on the internet pretty much can open a demo.goharbor.io, and that you will end up to the latest build of Harbor that we have, and you can log in. You can, for example, create your own account right away, and that you sign up without actually any verification or whatsoever, and you can log in and create your project. But to be a better shown, I'm gonna log in with the admin user. You can find the admin user and password on the repository, and just to show you around what Harbor feels like and what are the main things when you start using Harbor. Many other registries are referring to something that we call project as a registry, but in Harbor it was decided to be called project, so you can think of it like a collection of artifacts. So for example, some folks were obviously playing around. By the way, do not rely on this instance of Harbor. That is going away every second day, and it's refreshed. So if you push something there, do not expect to be there on the next day. So you can create your own projects. You can create, on the administration side, it's more interesting. You can create users, robot accounts, which are used to, for example, do remote actions to, for example, replicate between Harbors. You can define an endpoints, so other registries. They can be either Harbor or GitHub or any other kind of registries, which allows you then to configure your replication rules. Those are the things that Vadim mentioned, that is one of the power features of Harbor, that you can replicate full collections of images and so on. And for example, the integration services is something that we worked hard on the last 2 releases. It's a CV scanner, so we deploy Harbor by default with Rivi. So when you push an image, you can configure your policy, your image to be automatically scanned, and do some actions based on that. Ola said, can I zoom in? I can. No, you're not getting old. You're just staring too much in your screen, Ola. But Yeah, so integration services, you can plug in pretty much anything else that is on the market for scanning stuff. And then, for example, on the configuration side, you can you can tweak that say it the garbage collection stuff, and
Mm.
also from here you can also run it and see what is to be deleted and so on and so forth. So that was just a super light run on the Harbor UI. So when you if you want to try it out but without installing it, actually installing Harbor is pretty straightforward. From we have two methods. One is with the installer, the other one is through Helm. But if for some reason you don't want to do that, you can play with the demo environment, create users, create projects, and just play with it and decide on your own. With that, I'm going to stop that sharing. And we wanted to talk about the Harbor and something that all container registries and all like supportive components like the container registry or any kind of registry have in the supply chain. So we want to talk about the secure supply chain stuff and how you see. I have a question for you both. How you see Harbor fitting into that area, and where is the strengths of Harbor? And later on, Jan will show some of the stuff that we recently added with the S bombs and so on. So who want to stay that first? Vadim, do you want to chat about the?
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of comment on what I think about this whole supply chain thing. I mean, it's obvious that supply chain security becoming a more and more increasingly important topic, especially in the context of the European legislation and also the US legislation, like the requirements there are becoming important, but also on in the software development. However, the whole topic is yet I would say it's not yet evolved in a sense, right? Evolved and mature enough, right? And I think there's still a lot of things that can be improved or that are missing. But we are, we are on the way, for that. And I think that the whole supply chain security to be adopted needs to be a bit simpler, because I have to admit it's a complex topic, right? So if you want to do kind of a end-to-end supply chain, from source code development to production, it is very complex, right? And then Harbor and our registry, as I said, becomes a hub in here, or should become a hub in my opinion, because you need to have a place where you can bring everything together. And OCI is in my opinion a good thing to use as a carrier for that, or as a store as well. So the whole, I think this is where Harbor can evolve in the future, right? So to become more a hub. And if we're talking about this whole, the security topic, and for example, that just to show you the problem here, right? So if you scan images for vulnerabilities, right? So like my favorite one is Node.js. If you scan every or any Node.js application within your organization for vulnerabilities, you will find probably hundreds and hundreds of vulnerabilities per build. And I know organizations, they have like thousands of vulnerabilities that they need to deal with, right? And not all vulnerabilities are created equally, right? So because sometimes you have images that are pulling resources that they don't use, so the vulnerability is physically there, right? So physically as a package there, or is in SBOM, but is not used because it's not part of the runtime. So you need to further scan it, right? So you need to scan it in a static way, like when it's stored. You need to scan it also at runtime. So when the application is running, you need to scan it. Like, does this process actually uses this library that's vulnerable? Because this is more threatening then. And then you have to go the next step. You need to find out if this vulnerability is exploitable, or if it's current, is it already exploited, or can it be exploited because your application is on the internet or on the internet so that people can use this functionality to exploit it because it's accessible from the outside. Or so you need to have these stages, because I think the sheer amount of vulnerabilities that we have in each artifact over time is not manageable. So we cannot manage the static view on the artifacts, and I think that even the dynamic view on the artifact is not enough. So we need to have another step where you can kind of see at runtime, multiple steps at runtime, if the vulnerability is actually critical or not. And I think that is something where Harbor can be interesting, point of contact, or point where things come together.
Good. Yeah. And talking about seeing, Jan, are you ready to share and show some of this stuff that we just discussed, like the vulnerability and the SBOM stuff? Whenever
Yes.
you're ready, I'll put you on the screen.
Thank you.
By the way, for the folks on the stream, if you have any questions about what we're discussing, that discussion is for you. We've been discussing that for obviously 3, 4, 5 years. So yeah, just shoot questions and we will try to answer them timely. Jan, can you make that a little bit bigger, please?
Yes.
If you can zoom in a little bit, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's good. Yeah. So first of all, what you gonna show us? The vulnerability or the SBOM? What's your favorite? Or
so I think both of them are very crucial for security. Yeah, and so depends on your situation. I mean, some of the company are required SBOM to align with the artifact, then ship to the customer. Yeah. So let me just give you a quick and a brief overview of security features in Harbor. And it is, like already mentioned, this is not a formal demonstration. It's more of a casual chat about the artifact security. So feel free to interrupt me at any time. And so in Harbor, we primarily focus on the artifact scanning and the signing to ensure the artifact security. And we use a default scanner called Trevi. And Trevi is another open source third-party scanning, and we have a partnership with Trevi team. So then Trevi is the default scanner of Harbor, and we ship Trevi along with Harbor releases. And Harbor also supports pluggable scanner. So you can use your own scanner as long as it follows the pluggable scanner spec. And so like you can add your scanner to scan the artifacts. So I have prepared something in my project. So after uploading your artifact, you can trigger a scan, and either manually or automatically. Once the scan is done, you can see the results in the Harbor UI, and then this helps you set pull policies. Like you do not want anyone to pull your artifact, which has a high severity CVEs. Yeah, and so for the similar story for SBOM, you can generate the SBOM file for your uploaded artifact, and you can jump into details after click these buttons, and maybe I take okay. Yes, and you will see the details in the SBOM details in the artifact detail page, and also you can download the SBOM JSON file to distribute the file along with the artifact. So besides the artifact scanning, you can use any client like cosine or notation, or you can call it not rev2 to send your artifact. So after signing, you will see the signature attached to the artifact. Like I have used cosign to sign my image, and I have already used notation to sign my artifacts. So there are two signatures listed here. And so on the Harbor portal, we mark your artifact as signed after once you upload the signature into Harbor. And so by the way, you can also use the client to sign your S1 file. Like after signing, you could see the signature of your S1 file in the Harbor UI as well. So now you will have a 3-level artifacts: the subject manifest, and the signature, the S1, and the signature of the S1. So we also have a comprehensive dashboard called Security Hub, so, which Odin has already have a short introduction, and it gives you an overall view of your Harbor status and highlights what you should focus on. These two artifacts has most dangerous ones. You should notify the owner to fix your artifact, so then prevent them using these two artifacts in production, right? And you can also search your CVE and to know how many artifacts are affected by any specific high severity CVEs. So yeah, so these two key features are the main focus of Harbor in the security side. So we are containing, yeah, sure.
Can you show the CV export? Ola is asking if you can create a compliance report here, similar to the new vector from SUSE, and I think you can show that.
You mean the CVE report, right?
Yeah.
Here is the CVE report.
So practically, Ola, you can export that, and in 2.5, I think, or I'm forgetting stuff. But
yes.
we've added the CV exporter, so you can talk with external services. They can talk to Harbor to get that data out.
You can export the CVEs, and you can set up some filters, and to export.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm often asked, all these stuff are super nice, but how you can utilize them. And one of the things that CV exporter allows you to get that data out from Harbor and actually consume it, it's something else, and to get but the Harbor itself can actually gives you the possibility to create rules how you want to behave on different levels of CVs, as Jan said. So you can, for example, you won't allow pools, for example, from that particular image. So you can, that's first step of like a line of security. Sorry.
So by leveraging the signature and SBOM and as well as the CVE data, you can set up a lot of pool policies to make your pipeline do not use any high risk artifact. Like you could prevent vulnerability image from running by these options, or as well as the CVE. Yeah, you cannot pull any image without any signature. Yeah, there's things like that. So we call it pool policies. Yeah.
But at the same time, we can say that Harbor has not. I'm not familiar too much with NovaVector, but I guess from its perspective, Harbor does not have the capabilities and functionalities that go too deep as what NovaVector does, right? So it has the export capability of the CVs, but I think NovaVector does much more things than just CVs export, right?
The good thing is that you can plug in NovaVector to Harbor, right? And there's extensive list of security tools that you can plug in with Harbor, so you can get all that data out and actually consume it in some are more, as you said, security manager friendly format, not designed to be an infrastructure people, but more on the security side, folks.
Yeah, and there are two ways with NeuVector specifically. One, of course, is that you can configure NeuVector to fetch the images from the registry, right? So that kind of talks to the OCI interface. And the other option is specifically NeuVector functionality for Harbor, so that you can use the NeuVector scanner as the scanner instead of Trivy, right? So or you can use in parallel. So if you click on interrogation services, right? So if you can register multiple interrogation services, and you can decide what to scan for what project, and you can use NeuVector for that as well, alongside Trivy or instead of Trivy. So it's up to you.
Yep.
Yeah. And all that, by the way, we've done with at the local meetups. We've done a session. Maybe we can do that sometimes live with the same folks. We've integrated Harbor with Kyverno, and we applied all the policies that actually talks to Harbor about signature, about CVs, and they take decisions what you can deploy and what it's allowed, what's not. And actually, you can apply that software security chain thing on your Kubernetes cluster when you consume the images. So that's not enforced on the Harbor side, but it's on the cluster. So different people can have different kind of level of control what's delivered and what's deployed. Right. Thank you, Jan, for this one. I'm gonna hide this one for a sec.
Sure.
So that's good. And then actually the S-Bone feature is something that is rather new in Harbor, but I want to talk about new stuff. and in general, all this thing that we do, we're getting smaller container images. We deploy container images in far distances that we call edge. So the next thing that I want to talk about is like how we see Harbor further, and actually that's valid for all container registries. What else we can utilize the registries for, and how? And yeah, Vadim, do you want to talk about the satellite? I'm like trying to fish you out on this one, but I want to talk about Harbor and Edge and the satellite effort that we do, and then Jan for the other super hot topic of 2024. But let's do the satellite and the proxy first.
Right. So regarding satellite, so this is something that we have seen over the past years in Harbor. You know, people are using Harbor to do crazy things, right? So some of the things are not supposed to be used Harbor for, but some of the things people are using Harbor for are quite interesting, and there is a kind of a pattern in here. And one of these things is basically using Harbor at the edge, so meaning in deploying Harbor at locations where they have container workloads running, and this can be nowadays even small IoT devices running containers, right? So and where is when there is a container, there needs to be a container registry nearby, right? And those locations suffers often from bad connectivity or no connectivity at all, or just temporary connectivity. So there's like when they're connected, they have connectivity and then can replicate data, and then they need to be run uninterrupted. So, and we think that Harbor in these use cases is it's a bit too big for that, and a bit too complicated, because Harbor needs quite a bit of configuration, right? So I think Harbor is a great solution, but if you want to scale it in a sense that you want to run like hundreds and maybe thousands of instances, things become a bit complicated to configure everything, and Harbor cannot operate in a zero-touch manner, meaning that you just cannot deploy it without configuring it. So you need to configure it, and it is designed to have internet connectivity and things like this. And so we have thinking about how can we make this whole container workload deployable to the edge. And this is what Harbor Satellite does, right? So it brings container registries to the edge, but not only container registries. It basically goes a bit beyond container registries per se, but it goes also like the whole software distribution process. How can you get software to the edge location? How can you kind of deploy software or manage the deployment of the software? Not deployment, maybe the delivery of the software to the edge, right? So I think this the people who are the problem they want to solve is they don't want to have a container registry. They want to have a kind of a software at the edge. Something is getting the software to this place. And this is where satellite should help, right? So it's not just about having a registry, but more of the process, how you can get your artifact at this place, and not just one artifact at one place, because this is a bit simpler now. We're talking about hundreds of artifacts and thousands of 10,000s of places, right? And this needs a different type of managing things and orchestration, how you can make sure that you are able to manage thousands of edge locations or registries in a manner that gives you control what software should be at what location, right? So you need to have a higher level management capabilities to make sure that you manage all those 10,000 locations, right? With the right software.
And on top of that, you have to sprinkle it with all the fancy features that we discussed about the secure supply chain stuff. So pretty much you're to ensure a way how you deploy something that you're supposed to be deploying somewhere, like, I don't know, an oil rig somewhere in the middle of the sea where it's super complicated to get images there. And the actual image that you're going to run is the one that you wanted, right?
Exactly. So you need to, this is it's a crucial part, right? So the part of the supply chain security, and this whole thing has to be, the supply chain has to go to the edge as well, right? So you need to extend the supply chain to the edge so that you can make sure that the right software is running at the right place, and you need to kind of verify and ensure that this is actually happening, and the device is not running any software that is not supposed to run there, right? So this is the whole end-to-end supply chain needs to be extended to the edge as well, which makes things a bit complicated, right? But also
we're not getting
us not unemployed.
Yeah, in general, we're not getting towards the more flat and simple setups. We're getting more complicated because things are getting complicated. Threats are getting complicated. So, yeah. Talking about complicated things, we have the enhancement that is coming up for the proxy cache. Who wants to take this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can so regarding to Harbor on Edge, so I can share something that what we are doing right now. I talked to some customers last year in a KubeCon, and so they told me that they help their customer to set up Edge solution by leveraging Harbor. So the typical structure is that they set up a centralized Harbor within their centralized cluster. Then this Harbor can have a public network access, and they also set up thousands of Harbor instances for their thousands of edge clusters, and each Harbor on each edge cluster, and then they leverage the proxy cache to pull image from centralized Harbor to their edge cluster. And but in this situation, they encounter one problem. That is, they do not want the pooling to occupy all the network bandwidth of their edge cluster. So they also know that Harbor has a feature or a functionality in the replication. Harbor can configure the bandwidth rate limit of pooling between different Harbor instances. So now we are working on is enable the network bandwidth configuration in the proxy cache to help user to not let the pooling to fully occupy the network of their edge cluster. So now this is what we are working right now.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Next thing, buzzword of the year, right? AI. Who wants to take that? I want to take the first part to make sure everybody understand what we're going to talk about, because we had a heated discussion that AI in Harbor doesn't mean you're gonna have a silly prompt that helps you out. I don't know, finding something. No, we don't want to integrate AI in Harbor for now, but we want to help the AI workloads to utilize Harbor, and to add something to what Vadim said, that the people using Harbor for things that we're not supposed to be using. My favorite one is, remember these guys that were, I don't know, some kind of hospital, and they're storing their the XR images in Harbor. I'm not sure if it was a hospital in Canada or something. They're OCIing their images from their X-ray into OCI, and they were storing them on Harbor. But I cannot recall the name of the hospital. Anyway, so AI. Who wants to take that? It's a buzzword, yeah, but we're not using that to catch people. Just we're thinking about, well, the other day we were talking about the Hugging Face and all the LLMs that can be stored. I don't want to talk about it. Jan, do you want to take that one on the AI? You were super passionate about it, so do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we are trying to do something in AI because everyone is talking about AI, right? So we do not want to lose the hottest topic. Yeah. So I'm doing some investigation on how Harbor can play a role in the AI world. So what I'm currently working on is that I'm trying to replicate. So anyone maybe know that Harbor can replicate something from other registry like ECR, GCR, but they are all the OCI format. But to support the AI module, you know that a lot of AI modules are stopped in the Hugging Face, but without any standard format. And so what I'm trying to do is that we try to replicate or downloading the modules from Hugging Face and try to wrap it into the OCI format and store the OCI format into Harbor. And so after that, you can leverage all the functionalities to manage your OCI module within Harbor. And the next step is that we are trying to work with the Trevi team to enable the capability of scanning to scan the OCI AI modules to know the license or the CVE or any security problem. And yeah, this is what we are trying to do right now. So yeah,
I can add to the AI topic a bit, maybe some discussions that we had with our community, some interesting use cases. Maybe it's interesting for the community also to know. But for example, the one of the issues, of course, with the AI models is that those artifacts are quite big, right? And so one of the way is that oftentimes those, like if you have what I hear is like if you have kind of creating your own models, and those models are maybe, let's say, not completely different, so they have a lot of similarities. The data is also similar, right? And then there is like the requirement that you want to run those models on nodes, and you need to kind of reshare things, and this is where layers come not handy. So you need to have something like Nidus or something that is capable of fetching the parts of the images or part of the artifact that only needed, or that you have kind of a reuse of the data model on a lower level, right? So this is something that I see that users are using in the AI models. So they have like similar AI models, and they just fetching the images, and then the second time they just fetch the deltas from the other models. And I think they're using Nidus for that. because Nidus has this partial way of fetching images or artifacts, right? So they're just fetching the things that are needed. There's the other project from AWS, right? Like that's the similar thing, but in a different way. Yeah, so this is something that I find interesting in the AI space. Like, how can we get these huge models manageable in one device? Because sometimes those models are really, really big, and you basically run out of space if you want to have multiple models on one node. And then, and if you have like kind of a function as a service types of workloads, where you want to start up a model, calculate something, and then shut it down, you end up having really a lot of models on one system, and you need to load these models constantly. So yeah.
Yeah, and for everyone, that's not a promise that will come up anytime soon in Harbor, right?
No, this is just a kind of an observation that we see from the AI community, what that they're struggling and how they're currently, I would say, they're currently abusing Harbor, right? So this is not how Harbor was meant to be used, but it is definitely interesting for us to look into to see how we can support this abuse and make it well use case for that, right? So how can we support it better?
Yeah.
So it's not an abuse or a misuse, or
yeah, it's a use, not abuse.
Exactly.
And by the way, I think because of that, let's call it abuse, but not proper usage. I think that will come up with good findings how we can optimize, for example, the storage side of Harbor, and then garbage collection and some other things that are not suited for this kind of size and scale. Jan, do you want to add something else, or we can move on because we're kind of rushing through the hour?
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to rush, but I'm not sure people can stay longer, and then we plan it to. So next thing is Harbor community, and that's always something that we want to discuss, and that's my role into the team is talk about community. So it's like ask for everyone if you want to join our community. I'm gonna share that link again. We're super happy to have you in any way or form. For example, we run bi-weekly community meetings, so you can join and utilize that time to listen how our maintenance team is working, what kind of issues we're discussing, and so on and so forth. And also you can use the time to ask your questions, like even now. Ask your technical questions about implementation or some issues that you have. So for now, we try to combine office hours and community meetings in one, which is not very optimal. So we're discussing now with some other parties because, for example, me and Vadim, we're in Europe, and Jan and his team, they're in China. So we're kind of focused more on that side of the globe, and we're discussing some more effort to go on the Americas, so we can have some more people around the globe, and we can have that kind of office hours to accommodate more people, and they can ask more questions. So if you navigate to GoHarbor.io community, you can find all the links, how you can join the community, how you can start contributing. If it's not clear enough how you can start contributing, you can always ask some of us. You can join to our channels. We have the Harbor channel, we have Harbor Dev channel in the CNCF Slack. So you can join and just ask how you can set up. I'm more than happy to jump in and help you out to set up your environment and to start actually developing and test out and build and everything. It's super easy and takes, like, I don't know, if you have enough beefy machine, you can build in less than 10 minutes and get it up and running. So the other thing that is part of the community, we're super active in the last 3 terms. Correct me if I'm wrong, but on the LFX, so the Linux Foundation Mentorship Program, I think we run for the last 3 terms. And in fact, the satellite project is heavily backed by that program. The other one that we run is the CLI project, because we came out there. Many CLI implementations for Harbor around, and came out the need that we need to kind of get them all in to one, at least to try to get one. Vadim, do you want to share something, because you're more active on the CLI and the satellite thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are running like three iterations of the satellite. No, 2 iterations of satellite and
Yep.
3 iterations of Harbor CLI. And Harbor CLI is very popular because, I don't know, somehow I think it's easy to understand, and also I think young folks like CLIs, right? So
and you can integrate within your pipeline and do stuff from the CLI. So
yeah, so I mean, I don't know, but I think like this, the CLI, the LFX program is targeting young students and graduates, right?
Okay.
So that's why I mean the young people. They're mostly young people.
Young people like CLI. What? No. Okay.
Yeah, but I think yes. If I compare it to other things that we offered, the CLI is the most popular one, and so I assume that young people like to build CLIs. And so the Harbor CLI project is fully built by students, and the Harbor satellite as well, and it's running great. So we have interesting proposal discussions, and and I'm looking forward to finally have the Harbor CLI project the first release. So we have already made some progress here, and we hope to have some month first release, which is basically which will be kind of usable in a CI pipeline or something. And it is already usable, but there's no release yet.
Yeah, and for the folks on the line, 3 of us, we're kind of the mentoring people from the project to the. So if you want to join, if you're a student and you're just joining the ecosystem, the Linux Foundation mentorship program is a very easy way to get into any project, and actually you're getting even paid for that. So yeah.
And the next one is starting soon, right? So the next iteration is starting now in end of July. So like mentees can apply. I think end of July, the application window opens and people can apply. So if there are students here or young professionals, it's not strictly for students, but it's mostly who are there.
Practically people who can spare some time working on the project.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yep. All right, and we're kind of close to the end Q&A session, but I want to make another remark. KubeCon North America in Salt Lake City is coming up, 2024. So I'm going to be there. Vadim is going to be there. Jan, I'm not sure for you yet, I suppose.
Same here.
Yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed to see you there. But I'm wearing my Chicago t-shirt. I think, Vadim, you're wearing the one from, I don't know when. That was like, what, Amsterdam? I don't know.
I think Valencia.
Valencia? Maybe Valencia, yeah.
Oh, Valencia. Okay.
So we'll try to do a good swag again, like a local one. That's with the Chicago thing on the back. So if you're visiting KubeCon, just come by the kiosk. We're gonna do a maintenance track. I hope we're gonna have a live lightning session to show some stuff, and we're gonna do the kiosk again. So we'll be in the project area. So if you want to chat with us, just come by, say hi, and see what we can do together and how we can join. So question for time for Q&A. Ask your questions. If people have questions, now is the right time. Okay, it was the right time for the whole session, but if someone wants to waited for the end of the session to ask questions, now it's a good time. And not to have a awkward silence while we wait. Vadim shared into the chat the link to the mentorship program. You can go through it. It's super easy to apply. Actually, it's super easy to apply from both sides, for projects and for mentees. But you can go and read through requirements. So it's pretty much, it's aimed towards new graduates and people who can spare some time working on open source project. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have a comment from Alejandro. I suppose that's thank you or TW. I suppose it's thank you. Okay, let's wait another minute or two. Folks, do you want to wrap up until we wait for questions?
Yeah, thank you for the session, Pauline. Thank you very much for organizing this. I hope it was well informative for the community.
Yeah. Thank you for actually being my first guest, because that's my first official Rancho Live session, and it's a super relief that I can see known people for me on the screen and not to chat with some random unknown folks. Okay, we have Alejandro will be interesting in that too. How could I, if you navigate to that link, that
exactly
to that one to show you, you can see all the resources and all the descriptions how you can sign in to that to that program. Practically, you need to create a Linux Foundation account, super easy, and then you have to fill in a super easy form. What's your strengths, like what kind of technologies you're interested in, what is your skill set. If you have worked in some projects, you can link your GitHub account and so on and so forth. And then when you apply for a project, it's through the same platform. Your application or your resume will be sent to the mentors like us, and there'll be a round of voting who is suitable for the project, and then be a round of interviews. It's a very, actually it looks like applying for a job, but it's not exactly a job, but it's the same feeling, because yeah, you apply, we review in case if you apply for Harbor, and then we get in touch and what's your like availability to work on the project and so on, and that's it. And then you can read all that. I don't want to like repeat the whole document, but it's rather long, but there are a few checkpoints and so on. So yeah, you're more than welcome to apply for the program. With that, I think we don't have any more questions. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending today. It was super nice chatting with you folks again, even that we chat very often, but that's more like a different kind of chat. So thank you very much, and see you guys in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.